Now, it's natural, of course, for us to think that the journey of generosity is one about financial generosity, economic generosity. And certainly that is a seminal part of our journey as Christians, to learn generosity in all of its forms, particularly economic generosity, especially in 21st century America, where we possess so much. Economic generosity is one of the places where the fine line of me and you comes into stark clarity for us. And so we have to generosity that is called for us as Christians economically. And so we link the journey of generosity with our annual pledge. And so if you are to think that generosity is only economic, or that the journey of generosity is all about our economics and our finances, I wouldn't blame you. But we must realize, I hope we realize, that it's actually profoundly more as well. And today's lessons remind us that generosity comes in many forms. In fact, one might even say that economic generosity is a reflection of the greater generosity of our hearts. Let me explain. In today's story of the prodigal son, we see economic generosity all around. The father gives half of his possessions and his property to his young son long before he's obligated to give it. A generous gift. And then when his young son returns, he kills the fatted calf and throws a lavish party. He places a robe upon his shoulders and a ring upon his finger, a sign of great generosity and gift to the son who has returned. The father is clearly living with generosity. But those economic gifts, those economic signs, those financial expressions, I would contend, are actually expressions or reflections of a greater generosity in the Father. The first generosity to the Son is actually not an economic one. It's an obligation of sorts. It's simply the transaction of a father to his son, giving to the son what is or will be rightfully his. He doesn't give him more. He doesn't give him all of his possessions. He merely gives him what will be his rightful share. But he does it in a remarkable way. If anyone's been associated with grant giving or grant receiving, you will probably be familiar with this. Seldom do we give financial gifts without strings attached. Quite the contrary. The larger the gift, the more strings we attach to it. In the world of grant giving, the easiest and clearest string that we wield is the one on administrative expenses. Forgetting that the administration is part and parcel to any organization carrying out a missional assignment and task. It doesn't happen without the bookkeepers, the janitors, the building costs. All of those sunk costs still have cost. But it's ordinary in our world to give with a string of expectation. I'll give you more if you do. This father does none of that. He doesn't place an obligation upon his son. He doesn't set an expectation about prosperity. He simply gives. He gives with the freedom to his son to become himself, to do as he will, to go and prosper or to go and fail. He allows his son the freedom to become who he will be. That is a remarkable generosity that allows a person to become him or herself, differentiated in thought, in action, in whatever way she will be. In our world of uniformity, such diversity, such freedom is a remarkably generous gift. And that is the first gift the Father gives to his Son. And the second gift, perhaps the greater gift of all, perhaps the greatest gift we have to give to anyone, son or daughter, neighbor or stranger, friend or foe, is the story we tell of them. Consider the stories that are being told within this story. The young son returns and he comes to his father and he says, "Father, let me give you a new story for me. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. So call me now a hired hand. Let that become my story with you and your story of me." The older brother has the story as well. Notice the exchange when the older brother, when the father comes out and says, "Son." And the elder brother says, "That son of yours." Notice what he doesn't say. "That brother of mine." He's telling a new story. He's saying, I have nothing to do with that man. I have no relation to him except some distant relation through you. But I won't call him brother any longer. The father has none of it. Has none of it for either of them. To the younger, he says, "You will be my son." And so he clothes him with a robe. He puts a ring on his finger. He says to his hired hands, "Go kill the fatted calf in order that we might celebrate my son who is home." He says to his son, "This is your story. This is the story I will always speak of you. You were my son, you were far off, you were lost, and now you are home, and you remain my son." To the elder son, he hears that your son comment, and he turns it right back around. Your brother was lost and now has been found. He reminds the elder son of the true story of his brother. And two boys are found. A son is found and a brother is found. The story we tell, the story of our spouse, the story of our son, the story of our daughter, the story of our workers, the story of our neighbor, the story of our strangers, the story of Detroit, the story we tell of the immigrants who come to our borders, the story we tell of our foes across the Atlantic or the Pacific, the stories we tell are among the most generous acts we have. We have the opportunity to tell generous stories. In fact, Paul nearly commands us to tell a particular story in this lesson from Corinthians. You, he reminds his community and us, you are ambassadors of Christ. tell the story of God. Remind the world how God sees the world. Remind the world how God sees your neighbor. Remind the world how God sees each person. Remind the world how God sees the immigrant coming to our borders. Remind the world of God's story for the world. Friends, economic generosity follows the story we tell. Let us tell a generous story. Let us journey together in generosity for Christ. Amen.